Hello. Yeah, alright. So, basically, I have so many things that I want to talk about, and there's always more things getting added to the list, and I think that I just get so distracted because there's just so much stuff that I think is interesting and I want to talk on and expand upon and put out there. And I'm kind of drowning in um, my own thoughts because I just like the problem is that I need to record them so that I can post them, and I think of ideas faster than I can record and post them. So I may be able to sit down and do a series of recordings for like, I don't know, an hour or two, right? I'll do a bunch of recordings, but then I won't record for a couple days. And in that time, maybe I got through like five or six topics, right? In my span of talking. But I think of like five or six topics to talk on easily every day. So, no, I mean, I want like on average, I'm not like trying to hit a quota or something, but if something comes up, I'm like, oh, I should write that down. Right. So on average, I'd say I'd come up with like five or six ideas for things I want to talk about. And I just do not have the time to do it because the problem is once I start talking, I'm going to be talking typically for a while. So shortest videos are usually like 10 minutes. So even if I'm like, oh, I'll just do, you know, six videos, right? Or like six ideas, at the minimum, that's an hour of just me talking. And the other downside to it is that it requires energy and motivation, right? And some days I just like today, like I feel tired. Like I feel tired. I haven't even started yet, but like as I go on, I get progressively more tired after talking. And I just kind of get over it. I'm like, I spoke, I got that out. But the problem is that there's so much more. And I don't know. But basically, I got some topics here. So, well, making a mess. This is a little disorganized. These sticky notes are not very sticky. So that's a whole nother thing. We'll keep that separate and do one of the quicker ones for this one since I already did a partial talk. More of a vent to myself or something, I guess. Oh, the whole point of me saying that is that I decided what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to just start writing everything down. Because right now, like I write it down in my notes app because my phone is almost always on me. But I think what I need to do is from here on out, right? Because my biggest concern is I don't want to lose the thoughts, right? And so that's the benefit of saying them because I say them out loud, right? I internalize that for myself, but then also I put it online. I can always come back to it, right? If I ever want to come back and revisit something, it's now on YouTube and other people can see it. So I feel like it's not a thought that came and went, right? Another side tangent in the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal, right? Thoughts come, they go all the time. And so at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world if I can't get all these things out. However, I feel like I should. And so maybe that's just me that thinks that they're important and it matters. But I want to do my best to get these thoughts out because it just feels like what I should do. And so that's what I'm trying to do. But I think I'm going to start like basically journaling my thoughts, writing them down, because that way there's at least a written record because my phone could break and I could lose that like data or something, like I don't know, anything could happen, right? Whereas if I have it all written down, then I have like a written log of my thoughts, that at the very least is something, because I think I can go through my ideas. Honestly, I don't know if that's going to be faster. Like, it's such a tough thing. But maybe consolidate things that are kind of all over the place, because I have so many post-it notes of things I need to talk on that I haven't gotten to yet. So maybe those I'll journal into the book, but like not everything goes in the book, because if I have time to write and the energy to write, I probably could do a video. I don't know. We're still figuring that out. Anyway, moving on to something completely different. I was listening to this video, and like I don't know if this is necessarily everyone's view, but I feel like it's a very common view to see certain religions and certain ideas as a very primitive concept, right? This was about animism or animalism. No, it's animism. 1 second. Right, so it's animism. And so this is believed to be a very old type of religion where everything is seen as basically, it has like a spiritual nature, or it has some kind of deific power to it, right? Like, that's not the exact thing. You can look this up to figure out what it is, right? But this is seen as a very old concept, and I was watching a video on it, and basically, at some point, someone had beef with animism, and they called it a very primitive, or the most primitive form of religion. And over time, we have evolved our religion into something more civilized. And this, of course, is science and logic, right? And so we went from a worldview with animism into a worldview of logic and science. And they see this as civilized and, sophisticated, right? And then they see animism as primitive and barbaric, basically, right? Like this very like messy thing that's not good, right? Or that was their framing for it. However, I think that this is extremely arrogant and foolish, because, what makes you think science is not primitive? We have no concept for anything, right? Just because this is the most scientifically intellectual society has ever been does not mean that this is the best society there's ever been. Does not mean that this is the most, like, the term advanced is very interesting, because when we say advanced civilization, we immediately think technology. Personally, I think the most advanced civilization could be working with stone tools. As long as everyone is thriving, conditions for everyone is pleasant, people are happy, things are good, everything is in order, right? It's not chaotic. That's an advanced civilization. What technology is entirely relevant, or relative. That's what I meant to say. Technology and the sophistication and the advanced level of technology is entirely relative, because to people thousands of years ago, they were living in the most modern world they'd ever known. However, to us, that seems like a foolish concept. How could they think they were living in modern life with stone tools and, barely no mechanical power, right? Like, they didn't know what electricity was. How could you think you are in an advanced civilization if you don't have electricity? That's just absurd, right? But I can almost guarantee you that if society and civilization continues, they will look back at us and see us as primitive people, because technology is relative and it's built off of the previous generations, right? So to think that our concept of what science and logic is now and what is sophisticated and, proper now won't, to think that that's not going to change in the future, and they're not going to look back at us and think of what we thought, science and logic was. Like, to think, like, I really don't think you, I don't think you understand. We don't know anything. We don't really know anything. We think we know everything. Everyone thinks they know everything until they realize they don't, right? And so I really, like, just because science seems like such an advanced and sophisticated concept, and that it's the pinnacle, it's the peak of understanding. There's nothing better than this. I think that's incredibly foolish. So I just wanted to say that. And I put another, this is more of a snarky side tangent. Why do you think we went so long without it being needed to survive in reference to science? Humans and humanoids have been on the planet for hundreds of thousands of years, right? So how did we go so long without science and still survive? It's because science is not required for survival, right? And if there's no science, right, then, if without the concept of primitive and advanced, neither exists. So this concept of constant technological advancement is a relatively new concept in the grand scheme of things. Because if you really think about it, why do we need more advanced technology? So that it's easier to survive? So long as our system is working, so long as our method for survival is effective, nothing more is needed. We don't need to improve, right? We don't need to fix what isn't broken. It is not required. That is our desire. That is our want for an easier life. We always want things to be better and easier and faster, right? And smarter and all these things, right? We always want things to improve. But that is our own self-inflicted need, right? That's not a requirement. You do not constantly need to be advancing things at a breakneck speed to be, surviving. It is not a requirement, right? And what's funny is that some of the things that we now require technological advancement for us to manage and survive and handle are entirely self-imposed by us. Like things like climate change and stuff like that is not necessarily a big issue if you didn't start it in the first place, right? And so there's just a lot of things like that where it's like, what is all this progress for? Where are we going and why do we need to get there, right? And if you ask anyone this, I don't think they really have a good answer. It's just who we are. It's what we do, right? It gives us meaning. I think it gives us purpose is really the best answer. That's why we do it. But if you take a step back, it's relatively pointless at the end of the day, right? And so I think understanding that helps you realize that maybe our current concept, our current worldview is not the pinnacle, right? It is still in its early stages. It is still evolving and is still learning. And there is no such thing as an end, right? You're always going to be fine-tuning and refining this and making things better. We will never reach perfection because perfection is like infinity. As soon as you get close to it, it moves a step further away because there will always be something you can change. There will always be something you find needs improvement. And it may be just the slightest thing, you know, but it's going to be the case, right? You solve world hunger, right? But some people are a little hungrier than others. Okay, well, you solve that. Everyone gets food. Oh, but you know, someone gets nicer food. Okay, now everyone gets decadent, beautiful, gorgeous meals. Oh, okay, but they get to eat more often, right? There's always going to be something you can do to improve standards. It doesn't matter. You know, so at the end of the day, this concept as advancement and the pinnacle and aiming for perfection is, you know, primitive. It is a primitive concept because it shows your lack of understanding of the world you're in, and it shows your lack of awareness of what you are and where you are, right? So this concept of science as, you know, our, you know, beacon in this dark. Science cannot tell us everything. It cannot give us all the answers. You can say that it does, but it doesn't. And it won't, because it does not matter how long we sit here and try and figure out the meaning of the universe and the origin of the universe. Science can never give us the answer. Not truly. Because certainty and absolutes and, you know, truth, these are all things that we've made up. The universe just is. It just is. And so you're trying to put rules and restrictions and laws on something that does not care what you think of it. It just is. And so, yeah. Anyway, that is that. So, peace out.